Hi, Ethan. It's Mrs. Olson. I thought I would make this video to provide feedback and hopefully have you edit a resubmission for the Global Encounters test. Okay? So I have obviously read the response and I want to help you with it. And I thought instead of writing feedback, I would make a video and it'd probably be a little bit more clear that way if you were able to listen to me go over what you have written. Okay, so what I have done is I have taken your ideas with the question and I have organized it this way, kind of into note format, okay? So first of all, I want to go over the main question again, which says, how did European exploration influence this era of history? And then I provided the years. So first of all, let's break down the test question, which is about European exploration, okay, in this era of history, the 1400s to the 1700s. And what you are trying to prove to me, the person that's reading your answer, is how did these European explorers influence or impact this era of history? So you want to think kind of long term. Okay, so what I have done is I have taken your two separate examples, which is the circumnavigation of the world by Magellan, and then the exploration of Columbus in the Americas, okay? So with Magellan, what you are talking about is he gave way to new trade routes. So new trade routes. And then Columbus discovered the Americas. Okay, got that right there. Spain sent conquistadors. All right. So you've got the foundation for your answer. You have your two separate examples. Part of it you wrote in complete sentences, but like the last part you didn't write with complete sentences. And you do want to make sure that, especially with an official piece of writing like this, you want to always write with complete sentences and fully explain your thoughts. Okay, so here goes with Magellan. You wrote, first of all, Magellan's trip around the world, or rather his crew, gave way to new trade routes, and as we know from past notes, trade was a major factor of many historic events at this time. Okay, this is a little bit of a run-on sentence, so what I would suggest is putting a period after this word route, okay? We don't necessarily need this. What you need to do is to be very direct and talk about what those major factors were. All right, so I'm going to go back to this part right here and create this arrow, which is my way of saying what is the big so what? What is the point of telling me about new trade routes? And I say that nicely. I don't mean to say that sarcastically. Okay? So what is the so what factor? Here we go again with the question. How did European exploration influence or impact this era of history? So, what I suggest is perhaps going back to the two videos that there were two of them that talked about Magellan's circumnavigation of the world. And the assignment with this one was to talk about the similarities and differences. So when you talk about the influence or the impact of Magellan's circumnavigation of the world, use details from those two videos to explain how he influenced this era of history. Okay, so that's what I'm going to write right here with our big so what arrow. Okay, so I wrote, use specific details to explain what these new trade routes did for Magellan, his country, I want you to name it, and other explorers at the time. And let's see, and then I'm gonna kind of, here's another thought for you. I'm gonna use one of those slashes or forward slashes. And you can even talk about the spice trade, okay? Now, with Columbus, you wrote, in 1494, Columbus discovered the Americas. In the following 100 years, Spain sent conquistadors and such, what do you mean by and such, to conquer the land? Lots of bloodshed, lots of work. Okay, with this last part, you can definitely elaborate on that. So, going back to our so what arrow, what is the big idea? How did Columbus impact this era of history? I want you to elaborate further on where. Where did the actually, okay, so what I'm trying to say, so first of all, I want you to tell me, sorry about this, where did the conquistadors go in America? So I want you to name exactly where in Central and South America, even in the Caribbean. Where did they go? So name those specific lands. And then how did they impact, how did they impact the natives that were already living there? You wrote lots of bloodshed, lots of work, okay? So elaborate further. Make sure that you talk about what happened to the natives because of the conquistadors. And what do you mean by lots of work? Lots of work on behalf of the conquistadors, on behalf of the royal houses, the kings and queens that sent them there. What do you mean by lots of work? Okay, so I hope I picked that apart enough and gave you enough to go on as far as using specific details to elaborate on what you've already written, okay? Yeah. All right, so I think that's the end of my feedback. It's a little bit drawn out. I apologize. I'm kind of thinking as I am writing. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.